Hi everyone. In this session, we'll be handling core modules in Fedena. So the list of modules that you're able to see on my screen are the list of core modules that we'll be seeing in this session. Let me begin with the first module, settings. Before which I'll show the login page in Fedena. So you need to go for the Fedena URL in which you need to log in with the username and password that is provided. So let me enter the admin ID and the password and log in into my account. We need to know that there are 4 different types of Fedena users who can use Fedena using a username and password. Admin, employees, students, and parents. So these are the 4 different users who can log in into Fedena using a username and password. Each one will be having a unique username and password so they can have their own credentials and they can use Fedena. Right now I've logged in as an admin and what you're able to see on my screen is a dashboard. So this is my dashboard and I've arranged few of the dash lists that I want to view in my dashboard. You can customize your own dashboard by going for manage dashlets. So here we provide you various options and you can just select few of them that you want to view on your dashboard. Let me say I want to view the absent students for today, financial transactions for today, the events that is going to take place for today, the admitted employees, the leave application, timetables, examinations for today, birthdays and fee dues for today. So let me say these are the options that I want to view on my dashboard. So I'm enabling them. I'm going for the option save. And you can see my dashboard looks customized as per how I want it to look like. So you can see the timetable for today's date. You can see in case if there is any event for today, if there is any leave application or any finance transactions that has happened for today. The first thing that you will be doing in Fedena as a first time user will be the general settings. You can find the general settings under administration, settings. Here we'll be going for the general settings. So in general settings, you need to let Fedena know certain information about your institution. Here you can find the school college name where you need to enter the name of your institution. It is just to let Fedena know some basic information about your institution. You can enter the address and phone number. The next thing is the institution type. There are 2 options that we provide you. One is K-12, kindergarten to class 12, and the next option is higher education. You can just select one among them as per your institution. The next is the student attendance type. We provide you 2 different attendance types, daily-wise attendance, subject-wise attendance. Depends on the attendance type that you have in your institution, you can choose one among them. The start date of the week is by default Monday and you can change from the drop down. The date format is by default date, month and year. And we provide you a few other options and you can just select one among them. The date separator by default is slash and you can select the one from the drop down. The same way you can select the financial year start date and financial year end date. We provide you an option to customize your own receipt number in any of the finance modules. So any finance module, any financial transaction happening in the institution will generate a receipt and that receipt will have receipt number. And you can design your receipt number as per how you want by providing a prefix. So that prefix needs to be entered right here. If this is how your prefix wants to look like, you just have to enter it here. And you can move forward to other options like language, time zone, country, currency type, and precision count. These generally differs with the location of your institution. So you can just select the option as how you want. The next thing that we have is an option where you can upload your logo. As you have a logo for your institution, you can just go for choose file and upload it. And you need to notice that the maximum size of the image should be 500 KB. We provide various grading systems. It includes GPA, CWA, CC, and ICSE. So in case if your institution has any of these grading systems, you can just select one among it. If at all you have a normal examination, if you don't follow any of these grading systems, you can just disable all these options and move forward. Or if you have any of these, you can just select them right here. And Fedena provides you few other options like enabling auto incrementation of student admission number and enabling auto incrementation of employee admission number. The purpose of enabling these options is that when you make an admission for student as well as employees, for the first time when you create an admission, you need to define the admission number. Let me say I want my student admission number to look like STD001, STD002, and so on. In that case, I need to define my admission number of the student during the first admission as STD001. As I have enabled this option auto incrementation of student admission number, for the subsequent admissions, the admission number of the student will get automatically incremented just like how I've entered here. It will keep incrementing as STD001, 4, 3, 4, and 5. The same principle applies for employee admission. All you have to do is give the prefix as well the admission number for this employee when you perform the first admission in Fedena. For the subsequent entries, it will automatically increment the admission number. In case if you want this option, you can enable them. If at all you don't want it, you can just disable it. There are few other options that Fedena provides you is enable news comment moderation. And the next one we have is the enable siblings. In case if the students have siblings in the institution and you want to integrate the parent profile between the kids profile, you can just enable this option and you can use this option while you admit a sibling for the institution. The next option that Fedena provides you is enable the password change as first time login. Every user when they log in to Fedena for the first time, they will be asked to change the password. If at all you want to enable this option for the users, you can just enable this option. If you don't want it, you can just disable it and move forward. The final option that is there in the general setting is enable roll numbers for student. As we were aware, admission number for student is there in Fedena. And if at all you want a roll number for students, you can just enable this option and use the roll number option in the settings. So apart from admission number, the students will have a roll number that is meant to be inside the class, that is meant to be considered inside the class. So if at all this option is required, you can just enable it and save it. Right now our general settings are done. So this is how you can provide some information about your institution to Fedena. Once this general setting is done, let's move forward to the settings. You can find the settings option under administration, and here you can find the first option that we have is manage classes or batches. We can create classes here. I'm going for manage classes and batches, and here I'm going to create a class or a course. You can create one by going for this option. You can see the list of classes or courses that I've already created getting displayed here. You can have a look at it by selecting the name of it. To create a new one, you need to go for the option new and enter the name of the class here. Let me say I'm entering a class, say class 11, and let me say I'm providing a code here, say C11, and you can select one among the grading system. So as I've enabled all the grading system in the general setting, I can see all the grading systems. You can select one among it. Right now I'm selecting a normal grading system. And you find an option say enable elective selection. Let me say I have elective subjects in my institution and I want the students to select their own electives. In that case, I can just enable this option so that the selectives are going to be selected by themselves for their classes. Once you have entered the name of the class, you can describe the batch by entering the name here. You need to select the start date and end date of this academic year and save. So now you can see class 11 has how I've created. You can see the code that I've given. You can see the name of the batch. You can add one more batch by going for the option new. So let me give a name here. I'm just giving a name for the batch. I'm giving a start date and an end date for this particular batch. And now Fedena is asking me if I want to import the previous batch subjects and previous batch master fees. If at all I've already created the subjects and master fee for the previous batch, I can just enable them and inherit all the batches and master fee that I've already created. Right now I'm going to save it. Since I've not created any of the batches for previous subjects for previous batch, it's not getting imported. So now you can see under class 11, I find two different batches. These are the batches that I've created. Let's move back to the settings. Right now we're done with this. The next thing that we have is manage student category. Under manage student category, all you can do is create a student category. You can create a new one and you can also have a look at the one that is already existing. You can create a new one by giving a name here. Let me say I'm creating a new category called greenhouse. Students who belong to this particular group or a category can be assigned with this category. So I just want to create this category. All I did is type the name of the category and save it. Now the student category is existing in my Fedena instance. The next thing that we're going to do is manage subjects. You can create subjects for a particular batch. I'm going for the batch that I created and I'm going to add normal subjects and electives for my particular class. So I can go for add normal subjects where I need to enter the name of the subjects. Let me enter the name of the subject, the code, the maximum weekly classes, and let me save it. The same way I'm going to create few more subjects. I've created Maths, English, and now I'm creating Science. Now after this, let me say I'm going to create an elective subject for which I need to create an elective group. I'm going for new elective group where I'm going to give a name for it and last day to choose the electives. Let me give a name, say languages, and I'm going to choose one last day which is by default a week. I'm going to save it. Now the group is created and inside this elective group I can create as many subjects as I want by going for the option add, where I can enter the name of the subject and the code of the subject, the maximum weekly classes, and I'm going to save it. The same way I'm going to create more than one elective. Once the elective group is created, you can come back to the same batch and have a look at the subjects that we've created under manage batches. So I'm going for class 11 and here you can have a look at the normal subjects that I've created. You can have a look at the elective group and the subjects inside the elective group. Now I can assign this particular elective groups for any of the students by going for assign elective subjects to a student. Here you have the option. Once the students are available in this particular batch, you can go ahead and go for that option assign student. The next thing that we have is add admission additional details. As we already done with the general settings, I'm moving to this. And under the additional details option, let me say there are various fields in our student admission form. The various options that is available. But in case if you find there is some field that you require is missing in Fedena, you can have those fields in your admission form. To have it in your admission form, you need to do those settings right here. I have created few examples. For example, I want to know if the student has performed their medical checkup. So I'm giving a name of the field as medical checkup and I want the students to mandatorily fill in this field. So I'm enabling this option say mandatory. I'm going to select the input method. The input method can be any of these. It can be a text box, text area, select box or checkbox. Once I've given an input method, I'm adding fields by going for the option add. I want these fields to appear as my input method. Once I've entered it, I'm going to update it. The same way I've created various fields, these fields are going to be applicable or be available in the admission form of the student. Let me move back to the settings. And the next thing that we have is the SMS module. Once the SMS setting is done, you can come to this SMS module and to the SMS setting, where you can select the options for which you can send the automatic messages through Fedena, for which you need an SMS setting that is done in your accounts panel. Once that is performed, you can select these options and update. You have other options where you can send SMS to students, batches, employees, employees department, or send SMS to all the users in Fedena. You can also have a look at the SMS logs by going for this option. The last one that we have is manage student roll numbers. As I already mentioned, we have a student admission number, apart from which if you want to follow a roll number for each student, you can go for manage student roll numbers. And here is where you're going to create roll numbers for students. So here you can see for a particular batch, you can set roll number prefix, just like how I have set a roll number prefix. To set a roll number prefix, you need to go for set roll number prefix, enter prefix here. Say this is how you want the prefix to look like, you just have to enter it and save it. Now you can see the prefix for that particular class. Every class here has a prefix and I've entered the prefix by going for edit roll number prefix. Now once you have set a prefix by entering a prefix here, say C800, and once you save it, you can go for view batches and you can see for the batch, you can see the status of the roll number. It says not set, so you can go for set roll numbers and you can set the roll numbers or just have a look at the roll numbers which is automatically displayed here. There is only one student and it's assigned automatically as roll number 1. All you have to do is check it once and apply. Before that, you can also go for sorted based category. So here you can see the sorted based category is already first name and I've assigned it as a first name. Now you can apply this. Moving back, you can have a look at the roll numbers that is assigned based on one particular category, say first name. And you can change this first name category to any other option. Say this is a sort criteria and the sort criteria can be first name, last name or the admission number. If at all you want to sort the student's name based on any of these, you can just select them and save it. And all the roll numbers in this particular institution will be sorted based on this particular category. Right now we are done with the settings. Let's move forward to the next option that we have, next module that we have is the student admission. Let's have a look at how a student admission can be made in Fedena. For which I need to go to my quick links and here I can find student admission. And under student admission, you can see the admission number which is automatically incremented and getting displayed. I can edit it if I want to make changes to it. It is automatically getting displayed because I have already entered in my previous admission number, and based on my previous admission number it is incremented, and I have enabled the option in my setting. And the admission date is by default today's date. You can make changes to it as well. Once you've done this, you can enter some personal details of the student. Let me enter the personal details of the student. I'm selecting the date of birth, gender, blood group, nationality, and in case if I want to assign a particular category for the student, I can select one among the category right here. And you can enter the contact details of the student. And then you need to assign a particular batch and a class for the student, for which I'm going to select a class here, say class 11, and a batch here, and you can manually enter the roll number for this particular batch, or you can skip this field and perform it in the settings option. So below you find an option where you're enabling the SMS feature and email feature. If at all you don't want it for this particular student, you can just disable it. You can upload a user photo by going for choose file and upload a user picture. Let me save and proceed. Now we need to enter the parent personal details and parent contact details. So these are some information that we need to enter. Once we enter this, we can go ahead. Right now I'm skipping the data, and here you can find something called previous education details. Under previous education details, you can give some information about the previous education of the student. The institution name, the class, year, total marks, and the subject the student has taken. In case if you don't want to fill in this field, you can just skip it and move forward. We have something called additional details. As we have done in the settings, these are nothing but the fields that I have created in my additional field settings. So I have created medical checkup, which I've already displayed, where I've selected the input method to be select box, and you can see I have given yes or no as the options, and you can select one among them from the drop down. And as I've made this particular field to be mandatory, you can see the sign that shows that this field needs to be filled in. I have created few other fields as well, height and weight. You can just save and proceed. Now right now we are done with the profile of the student. We have created a student profile in the institution. Just like that, we can have a look at the student profile with the class and the batch in which he belongs to. You can have a look at the admission date and other details of the student. Later you can edit the profile, you can add guardian or add any additional fields if required. Apart from which, you can go for the reports, you can add any of these options here. So this is how student admission can be made in Fedena. The next module that you're going to see is the human resource module. You can see the human resource module and the administration. In the human resource module, before we perform any actions, we need to do some settings. The first thing that we have is the HR settings. And under the settings, we have various categories and fields that need to be created. So let me begin with add employee category. So under add employee category, you're going to define the employee category that is available in your institution. Initially, this area is going to be empty when you start using Fedena. All you have to do is let Fedena know that these are the employee categories that is available in your institution, for which you're going to create them here. You can give a name and a prefix and create it. I've given a prefix say finance. I've given a prefix say name, and I've given a prefix say FIN, and I'm going to create it. Now based on the name of the prefix, the category is created. The same way I've created few other active categories that is available in my institution. Once I've created the employee category, I'm moving forward to employee position. I can give a name for my position and I can select one among the employee category. I have given one of the positions as junior and I have given the employee category to be a teacher. It can be any of the category that I've already created in the settings, and you can give a name as how you want. It is just an example that we're showing you here. Once you enter these details, you can just update and you can find the list of batches that you've created below. The next thing that we have is the add employee department. Let me say the employee belongs to a particular department. You need to create those departments before we admit an employee. So here I've created various departments. You need to enter the name and the department code to create a department. So this is how I'm given a name for it as well a code, and I'm going to save it. Once the employee department is created, you can go for add employee grades. As such, it's not a mandatory field, but still, let's have a look at how to create an employee grades. The purpose of creating employee grades is that to provide the employee an optimum level or a target for which they need to reach. The target number of periods that they have to complete in a particular week or a particular day. So the admin can define it right here. All you have to do is give a name for the grade, give the priority, and here I am giving the maximum periods per day and maximum periods per week. You can just define it right here and save it. Now you can see the employee grade as per how I've created. Based on the grades, I've given a maximum periods per day and maximum periods per week. The next setting that we have is add payroll category. In the add payroll category, you need to create a category just like how I've created a basic pay. So basic pay is one of the independent category that I've created. So I'm not selecting a dependent one, I'm just selecting the option and I'm going for update. So now basic pay is an independent category, whereas I have created few other categories, which is the dependent category, say special allowance of 3% of my basic pay. And I'm making it as an earning. So I'm creating it. So this is how you need to create all your earnings as a category here, where these categories will be filled in for each employee later on. I have created a deduction called PF. So I'm making this PF as a dependent category by giving a percentage here and a dependent category as a basic pay. And since it's a deduction, I'm enabling the option say deduction and I'm creating it. So now you can have a look at the number of earnings and deduction that the institution has. Once the payroll categories are created, let's move to the add bank details. So here is where you're going to add the bank details for your institution. Here you need to give a name for this bank detail that you want to view. Let me say I want to know the bank account name, account number, bank name and branch name. So these are some details that I need to get from my employees. So I want these fields to be filled in. So I'm giving the name for those categories here. So these fields get displayed in the employee admission form. So once this is done in the setting, I'm moving forward to the add admission additional details. Similar to how we created fields for the student admission, we are also creating additional fields for the employee. So you can create such fields right here. Just like how I've created fields like passport number, PAN number and Aadhaar number. Let me say I want the employees to fill in their passport number. I'm going to give a name for this particular additional field. I'm going to make it mandatory if required. I'm going to select one among the input methods. Since it's going to be a set of digits and alphabets, I'm going for text box. I'm going to update it. So as per what I'm giving in the additional field, the additional fields getting designed right here. Right now we're done with the basic settings under Human Resource module. To move ahead with Human Resource, we need to go for Employee Management. Under Employee Management, the first thing that we have is the Employee Admission. We can go for Employee Admission to admit an employee here. So here you can see the number, employee number, as I mentioned before. It's a by default auto increment option is enabled. So by default, the based on the previous employee number, the employee number is generated. And you can see the default joining date as today's date. You can create an employee profile right here by entering a name. So let me enter a name here. I'm selecting the gender. I'm selecting the date of birth for the employee, the department in which she's going to belong to. Let me assign her into a department and a category. As how I've created in the setting, you can see the department and you can see the category as per how I've created. Say the category in which this particular employee belongs to. So I'm going to select one among it. I'm choosing teachers, and based on the category that I've chosen, you can see the positions getting displayed here. Say junior teacher or a senior teacher. I can choose one and I can select one among the grade if required. And moving forward, you find various fields like job title, qualification and experience information. So you can fill in these fields as well with the personal details and contact details. Let me save and proceed. And here you find the home address and office address which you can fill in. Here you can see the add bank details. As how I have created in the bank details fields get displayed here. And I'm going to save and proceed. The additional details for this particular employee admission that I've created gets displayed here. Since it's a mandatory field, you need to fill in this PAN number and save and proceed. Now you can see for the employee who I'm going to admit in Fedena, I'm going to enable the privileges that needs to be assigned for him. So you can see a number of privileges begins with administration, student management, academics, finance control and system settings. So you can select any of these privileges. I'm selecting the administration as this employee is going to be a part of the administration department. So I'm selecting the system settings as well, apart from which let me say the employee is a part of the academics and I'm going to select few of the options alone. And I'm going to save it. So this is how I want the privileges to be distributed. And here I'm going to select the manager's name by searching for the name of the manager. I'm going to assign a particular manager and save and proceed. Now you can see the payroll for a particular employee. You can enter the values right here. As I've entered the value, the dependent categories automatically calculate the value. And in these fields, if at all you want to enter something, you can just enter it right now and save it. Now the employee profile is created. You can just have a look at the profile. You can edit the profile. You can also perform these actions. You can have a look at the payroll and the payslip. You can check the profile of the employee. You can also check their leave attendance as well their activities. Right now we are done with the employee admission. The next thing that we have is employee subject association. Let me say you are going to create a class and assign the subjects. You need to assign the subject to a particular employee, for which you're going to choose a batch here, select the subjects and select an employee. The same way you need to select all the subjects and assign an employee. Right now I'm assigning the subjects an employee. I'm assigning more than one employee. Same way you can do for every subject by selecting the particular department and select an employee. An employee can be assigned from other department as well. So right now the employee subject association is completed. For all the subject that the student has, the employee is being assigned. Let's move forward to the human resource module, and the next thing that we have is employee leave management. Under employee leave management, the first thing that we have is add leave types. You can add leave types by going for this option where the school has to describe the leave types that is available in Fedena. You can see there are various leave types. Let me say there are leave types like casual leave and sick leave, apart from which we have a maternity leave. So this is some instance that I am showing you. If at all I want to create like this, I can enter the leave name right here. Let me say it's a casual leave. So I'm giving a leave name, say casual. I'm giving a code and a maximum leave count. And if I want to enable this option to be carried forwarded to the next academic year or the next quarter, in that reason I just can enable it here and update it. Here you can see one of the leave types that I've created. The same way you can create as many leave types as you want. The next thing that we have is the attendance register. You can select for one of the employees and have a look at the register of the employee. If at all the employee is on leave on any days, you can just have a look at it right here. You can mark absence for a particular employee, let's say for today's date. So you can just select the cell, mark absence for an employee by entering a reason and by saving it. So now you can see the as per how I've created. So let me go for a particular date, say today's date, and I'm going to mark absence for this employee. So I'm going to select one of the leave types and I'm going to give a reason there and save it. So now you can see the cell in which the absence of the employee is marked. One thing that you need to remember is that by default in Fedena, all employees and students are present. Only when they're absent, you're going to mark absence for them. So right now the employees are on leave. So I'm going to mark absence for him right here. If at all the employee wants to apply for leaves from their own credentials, they can apply for the leave and the employee will be approving it as per how they want to go for. So once the employee approves, the employee who has applied for a leave will be notified about the approval process. Let me go back to employee leave management. We've had a look at the attendance register. The next thing that we have is the attendance report. You can select one of the departments to just have a look at the number of leaves each employee has taken. You can have a look at the numbers as per the count that the employee has taken, and you can see the different types of leave and the total leave count. You can take a PDF report or a CSV report. The next thing that we have is the leave reset option. So under reset of leaves, we have leave reset settings, which enables the users to reset leaves automatically. You can enable automatic reset option and you just have to enter the leave reset periods. Let's say 12 months of 1 week. You can just go for it right here and you just have to enter the count begin date. So from the date, exactly after 12 months, the reset leave will happen. The leaves that you have already created for the institution will be resetted automatically. If at all, if you don't want to go for automatic reset, you can just do the manual reset by going for reset all, department reset or individual reset. The next thing that we have is create Baselet. You can create payslip for an employee by going for these options. So under one-click payslip generator, an employee payslip can be generated by going for this one click by selecting the salary date and going for this option. So once payslip is generated, the general flow happens in a way that the employee payslip needs to be approved by the finance person. So right now, if you're going for one-click payslip generator, it will be generated right here for all the employees. And if at all if you want to make changes for the payslip of any of the employees, you can go for select employee, select a particular employee from a department, have a look at this payslip. If there is any category that you want to add, you can just go for add category, enter the amount. If at all it's a deduction, enable it. Let Fedena know that it's a deduction so that the amount can be reduced from the salary. And if you want to make it as an earning, you do not have to disable this. Once you disable it, automatically the amount acts as an savings to the salary. And once you create it, you can just go for the option create. Now the payslip for this particular month is created for this employee as per how we've entered. So now once the create payslip option is done, the payslip that is created moves to the finance module. The finance employee will be having a look at the payslip that is created. And the finance employee will have two options. One is to approve the payslip or to reject the payslip. If at all the employee rejects the payslip, we can have a look at the rejected payslip right here. We can select a department, and in case if there is an employee whose payslip has been rejected in this particular department, we can have a look at it here. The last one that we have is a one-click payslip revert option, where you can do this to delete all the payslip that was created by just going for this one-click payslip revert option. The last option that we have is employee payslip, under which you can have a look at all the payslip that is created for a particular department or all the departments in a particular month. Let's say I want to have a look at the payslip that was created for the month of May. For all the departments, I'm going to go for the option view. Now you can have a look at the payslip, the status, the amount that needs to be paid. So you can see the option and the status of the payslip. You can take a PDF report or a CSV report here. So that's all about human resource module. The next module that we are going to see is the timetable. So you can have a look at the timetable module under academics. So here is the timetable module. And the first thing that we can see is manage class timing set. So again, we need to perform certain settings before we create a timetable. For which I'm going to for class timing set, and you can see a list of class timings that I've already created. You can create a new one by going for the option new. All you have to do is give a name for it. Just give a name for it, and inside which you can create the class timings as per how it's there in your institution. This is how it's going to be, and you will have to go for add class timings and you're going to give a name for it. Let me call it as period 1. So my first period in my institution starts at 9 o'clock. So I'm giving the start time as 9 o'clock and the end time as 10 o'clock. And I'm going to save it. I can create few more class timings by going for add. Let me create few more, say period 2, and the start time is 10 o'clock and the end time is 11 o'clock. Let me say there is a break after this period 2 and you want to represent it here. You can just give a name here. Give a start time. Provide an end time. And you need to enable that it's a break to let Fedena know that this particular class timing that you're going to create is a break in the institution. So I'm enabling this option and I'm going to save it. You can have a look at the class timings that I have created right now from the time of 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So once the class timing is created, you can move back to the timetable and you can go for set weekdays and class timing sets. So here all you have to do is select a particular class, say class 11 or class 8 as I have created. So let me go for one of the classes and a batch, and you can see by default Monday to Friday are the weekdays and I've enabled them. So in case if I'm working on a Saturday, I'm going to enable this Saturday and you can see the class timing sets here. For every day I can have a different class timing set. The same cycle is going to repeat in the next week as long as the timetable is active. So I'm going to select the class timing set. I'm going to assign a class timing set, say default one. And for Saturdays and Fridays, I'm going to assign a new one. So let me assign a new one right now. Once I've assigned, I'm going to save it. So now the days and class timing set are completed. So these are some basic settings that you need to do and that is completed. Once this is done, let's create a new timetable by going for create new timetable. All you have to do is give a start date and an end date for your timetable. You can give a start date and end date. Let me create it for a week. One thing that you need to remember when it comes to creation of timetable is that you should make sure there is no repetition or creation of timetables in a same time duration. In a single time duration, there can be only one timetable that can exist. Right now, I'm creating a timetable for 22nd of September and 29th of September. I'm going to create it. Once I've created the class timetable, I can select a particular batch for which I'm going to create. Say this is the class for which I'm going to create, and I can see as per what I've assigned in the class timing set, my class timetable is customized. So Monday to Friday I have a different timings and Saturday I have a different times. So now I can assign a timetable for each class by assigning the subjects in the employee right now, for which I need to select the cell, select the subject, select the employee and assign. Now you can see the employee name, the subject and the time duration is assigned for a particular class or a session. The same way you can assign few other employees as well. So right now I'm selecting few classes, I'm selecting a subject, and I'm selecting the employee and assigning. So now there is a error that shows there is an allocation that conflicts with period 1. If at all, if you want to continue, you can continue or skip it. So this is how a timetable can be assigned for a particular batch of students. I'm doing the same for all the classes, so all the subjects and all the periods. Right now, let's move back to the timetable and let's go for edit timetable. So here you can see the ranges of timetable that I've created. You can see the edit timetable entries option and edit range entries option. So this will enable you to edit the timetable range and this will enable you to edit the timetable entries. So you can go for any of these options if you want to make changes to the range or the entries. So the next thing that we have is the view timetable where you can select the time duration, select a particular batch, say class 2, and you can have a look at the timetable. So this is the timetable that you've created. You can see the employee name, you can see the subject, you can see the time duration. This would be very helpful for an student to have a look at the timetable. So you can take a PDF report or a CSV report right here. Under the timetable, we have something called teacher's timetable. So here you can have a look at the teacher's timetable. You need to select the timetable, select the employee name, and have a look at the periods in which he is assigned for. You can see the classes, you can see the time duration. You can take a PDF report or a CSV report as an admin to circulate to your respective employees. If at all you want to switch between employees to have a look at their own timetable for the week, you can just select some other employee name, have a look at his timetable, and you can just move forward by taking a PDF report or a CSV report. Right now the teacher's timetable is completed. The next one that we have is work allotment. Under work allotment, you can select a particular batch and a subject and select an employee for that particular subject. So here you get to see all the employees in the institution in the drop down. All you have to do is select the subject and assign it for each employee. If at all if you had missed the step of subject association in the human resource module, you can perform it here. One thing that you need to remember is that you can't assign more than one employee here. All you can do is assign only one employee. In that case, you can go for assign multiple employee option where you want to assign more than one employee for your classes. Something that you're able to see on your right hand side is a status for each employee in the institution that depicts three different status: deficit, remaining, and OK. The status OK represents as per the target that is provided to them, the employee has reached the target. So that's when the status OK gets displayed. If at all there is a status called remaining and the number represents the number of periods that the employee has still left over to take, and the deficit represents the number of periods the employee has completed more than his target. So you can just have a look at this before you assign employee for a particular class or a subject. The next thing that we have is the institution timetable. As per the timetable for each batch in your institution, you get to see the timetable here. So for class 1, today there's a class and you get to see the employee, the subject, and the timetable. If at all the batches have any classes, you get to see the timetable properly here. The next thing that we have is the Timetable Tracker. Under Timetable Tracker, the option that we have is Swap Timetable, where you can make changes to the timetable for that particular day. Let me assume this employee is on leave today, so I want to make changes to the timetable only for today so that the classes will be taken over by some other employee. So in that case, I need to choose a batch, choose a particular date. Here you can see for this particular date, in this class timing, a subject is assigned and an employee is being assigned. Now let's assume this employee is not available to take class. So I'm going to take the class as an employee. So I can assign an employee here by going for change, and I can select a department. Once I select the department, I can select the employee from the drop down. You can choose one among the employee. You can also select the subject that you want to assign for that particular employee. It can be the same signs or it can be a different subject. Once you assign the subject, you can go for the option Save. Now you can see the employee for the subject Maths is being assigned. This swapping takes place only for the day. It does not make changes to the timetable. So the swapping has happened, and if you want to have a look at the report, you can come for Swap Timetable Report, where you need to select the start time and end time and search for the swapping that has happened for today. So I'm selecting the start date and end date for a month, and I can have a look at the swapping that has happened. You can see the replacement status is -1 and for this employee is +1. You can have more details by viewing it, where the employee for whom the new employee was replaced gets displayed here, and the working hours is also getting displayed here. You can take a CSV report of it. The next thing that we have is classroom allocation. The first one that we have is manage buildings. You need to provide some information about your institution, the buildings in your institution, by entering some buildings right here. So these are some kind of institutions having various buildings and allocating classrooms for each periods. So I'm going to add buildings and I'm going to add the detail about the buildings. So once I'm going to add, I'm going to give a name for it and I'm going to save it. So under these buildings, I've created rooms. So each room has a capacity of 40 students. So I'm giving a room name, I'm giving the capacity, and I'm going to add it to my room. Now, once I've created the buildings, I've created the classrooms, I can allocate these classrooms by going for allocate option. It can be a weekly basis or a date specific basis. I'm selecting in a weekly basis, so I'm selecting a timetable entry. I'm going to view option. So here you can see the timetable. As of now, I can assign a particular class by selecting one of the buildings. I can assign a class by dragging and dropping it. If I want to allocate, I'm going for the option continue. Here you get to see the classroom 101. The employee Nidish is taking class for science in this time duration. The same way you can allocate classrooms for all these subjects. Once the classroom is allocated, you can see the green color represented with a tick mark. This represents the allocation made by classroom allocation option. Right now we are done with the timetable module in Fedena. Let's move forward to the attendance module. Before we begin with the attendance module, there are two different types of attendance module in Fedena. One is a daily wise attendance, the other is a subject wise attendance. So if at all the institution has a daily wise attendance or subject wise attendance, they need to represent it in the general settings before they begin using it in the attendance module. So in the general setting, you need to state the type of attendance you're using. It can be daily wise or a subject wise. You need to choose one among this and save it. Now let me show how a daily wise attendance will look like. I'm going for academics to view the attendance module, and here you find the attendance register for a daily wise attendance. I'm going to choose a batch, say class 2. I'm going to choose to see the number of students. So here you get to see all the students who belong to this particular batch. And you can see for this month and for today's date, it gets represented here. One thing that you need to remember is that by default, all the students are present in Fedena. Only when a student is absent, you're going to mark absence for him by selecting the cell. Let me assume the student Diva is on leave today. So I'm going to select the cell, select enter a reason here for his absence. And you can select the forenoon or afternoon option and you can add it. So now you can have a look at this particular cross sign in this cell that represents this student is on leave today. The same way you can mark absence for each student by selecting the cell, entering the reason and selecting one of these options and adding it. Fedena allows you to mark attendance for the previous days but not for the upcoming days. So here when you select the upcoming days cell, you can see it doesn't allow you to make any changes. But if at all, if you want to mark absence for the previous set of days, you can do that. Because Fedena allows you to mark attendance even after class hours. So let me assume the employee completes the class for a week and the employee wants to mark attendance after a week, they can do that in Fedena. To make it more simple, we have an option called rapid attendance here. You can just enable it. And if at all, if you want to mark absence for any student, you just have to select this cell and mark absence. You can skip the process of entering the reason by going for rapid attendance option. And we have an option where you can sort the name of the students by roll numbers or name. You can just Choose any of these options and the names get sorted based on these. Here you get to see the name getting sorted based on the roll number and the name getting sorted based on the names. That is nothing but the alphabetical order. So this is how the attendance register looks like for a daily wise attendance. Moving forward, let's see how the attendance report looks like for a daily wise attendance. Under attendance report, you can select a particular batch. Say, let me choose class 2. I'm choosing one of the mode. It can be a monthly report or an overall report. Here you get to see the percentage, you get to see the roll number and the admission number with the total number of days the student has had class and the total number of days the student was present. You can see the percentage type. You get to filter based on any of these criteria. You can take a PDF report or a CSV report. You have one more attendance report type, say day-wise attendance report. Under day-wise attendance report, you can choose one of the classes. For a particular date, you can have a look at the report. You can see the number of absentees in that particular day. You can choose any of this class to see the absentees in that particular batch alone. So that's all about attendance in Fedena for a day-wise attendance report. Let me switch to the subject-wise attendance by going to the general settings. And here I'm going to change it as subject-wise and I'm going to update it. I'm moving back to the attendance module and I'm going for the attendance register. And here I'm choosing a particular batch, say class 2. And again, it's asking me to select the subject for which I'm going to mark attendance. Let me say I'm going to mark attendance for English. You can see now, as per the timetable, these are the days in which this particular student have English. So you get to mark attendance for that particular subject alone. So now you can select this cell and mark absent for the students. Once again, we need to remember by default, all students are present in Fedena. Only when a student is absent, you're going to mark absence for them. And we once again have a simple option that is rapid attendance. By enabling it, you can mark attendance by just selecting the cell without entering any reasons. And we have an attendance report type. We can select one of the batches to have a look at the report. You can select a subject. You can go for a monthly or overall report and have a look at the attendance type for each student. This is the attendance report, the percentage that is secured by each student, and you can have a look at it and take a PDF or a CSV report. So that's all about attendance module. The next module that we plan to do is examination, the normal examination in Fedena. We can find the examination module under academics. So under examination, before we create an examination for a class, you need to do some settings right here. You find something called settings here, and these are the settings that we'll be doing. We find something called set grading levels. We can go for set grading levels, and let me say, in case of the exam for the students and the result is going to be in terms of grades and marks or in terms of grades, you will have to set these grading levels before creating the examinations. So you can have a common grading level for all the batches in Fedena, or you can select a particular batch and have a grading level. Right now I'm making it common and I've added grades, and these grades are displayed here. So I've added a grade, say grade A, and I've selected as a minimum score 90 with a credit point 9. So this is one among the grading pattern that I've added. You can choose one among the batches and add grade types by going for add grades. Let me add grades here. Say I'm giving a name A and I'm giving a minimum score of 90 and description if required, and I can save it. Let me add one more grade just to show an example here. Say B I'm giving a minimum score as 80 with a description, and you can save it. So this is how you can add more grades. And these grades will be applicable for the batch for which we are creating. We can have a common one and have this applicable for all the batch. Or you can select one among the batches and create a one right here. So apart from this, we're going to create ranking levels. So for ranking levels, let me choose a batch, say class 2 or class 1. So here you can see there's some ranking levels that I've already created. Let me just show you an example. I'm creating a ranking level called high performer. So I'm going to categorize the students as high performer. A student who secures 90% and above in 3 subjects will be referred as high performer. So to find this, to Fedena, I'm giving a name here. I'm giving the percentage to be 90, and it's asking me the mark limits type. So in the drop down, I have 3 different options: upper, lower, and exact. Upper represents at most 90%, lower represents at least 90%, and exact represents exactly 90%. So this is nothing but a categorize to categorize the mark limits. And I'm choosing one among it. So I'm choosing at least 90%. The students should secure at least 90% to be called as a high performer. And once again, I'm entering the number of subjects here as 3. Out of 4 subjects, I'm entering 3. And I'm selecting the subject limit type to once again be lower, upper, or exact. It can be at least 3 subjects, or at most 3 subjects, exactly 3 subjects. So out of 4 subjects, I'm saying at least 3 subjects, the students should secure at least 90%. So I'm going for at least 3 subjects, and I'm creating it. The same way, I'm creating one more ranking level where I'm naming it as top performer. A student to be called top performer, the student has to secure at least 80% in at least 2 subjects. So that's exactly why I've enabled the option lower here, because I want it to be at least 80% and at least 2 subjects. Once this is done, you can save it. The ranking levels get saved for this particular class. Let's move back to the settings. So these are some basic settings that we need to do for normal examination. Since we are not going for any other examinations, we are not doing these. Let's move for the class designation, the final setting that we need to do. You can select one among the classes for which you're going to create designation. You can create designation as how you want, like how it's going to be there in your institution. Like how I've created, I've given a name, say first class, and I've given a mark as 80. So a person who scores 80 and above in class 1 will be given a class designation, say first class. The same way I've created few other class designations, say second class and pass. So right now we're done with the settings in Fedena. For examination, once the exam settings are done, let's say I'm going to begin with creating the exam and scheduling the exam by going for exam management. Under exam management, I need to choose a particular class for which I'm going to schedule the examination. Let me schedule examination for class 11. So here you get to see the batches that I've already created in the class 11. For a batch, I'm going to create an exam. So I'm choosing the batch. There's no exam that I've created. To create a new exam, I'm going for new. I'm giving a name here. Exam 1. I'm giving marks or grades or marks and grades. I can choose any of these options and I can save. Now you can see the maximum mark for subjects can be entered here. I'm giving a maximum mark and a minimum mark, and here you get to see the subjects that is present for this batch. So for each batch, the maximum and the minimum marks get displayed automatically, and you can schedule the examination by selecting the start time and the end time. You can select the start time and the time for which the exam wants to be scheduled. So I'm going to select the start time and the end time for the exam by selecting it in the calendar. So I'm doing the same so that it gets scheduled for the other subjects as well. I'm selecting the start time and the end time, and I'm going to save. Right now the exam is scheduled, and to publish the schedule I'm going for publish exam schedule. Once I'm going for publish exam schedule, the schedule is being published through SMS and email to all the students. Let me assume the exam schedules are published and the exams are completed. Now, once exams are evaluated and the scores are collected, you can enter the scores here. By coming back to the examination module to the same exam, you need to select the name of the exam, the subject, and then as an admin, I can enter the mark of the student here. So this is a student who belongs to this batch. I'm going to enter marks for her out of 100. You can enter a mark here, enter a remark if required, and I can save it. So as per the grade that I've given in the grading system, you can see the grades that gets displayed automatically here. If at all the student was absent, you can just select the option as absent. So I'm going to do the same process for other subjects as well. I'm going to enter the score for the student and I'm going to save it. As per the grade that I've given in the grading system, you can see the grades getting displayed here. So let me do that for the other subject as well. Once I've entered the score, let me say these scores have been entered, and the next thing that I would like to do is publish the exam result. So here I get to see an option called publish exam results. I'm going for this option and the exam results are published. So once the exam results are published, you can go back to reports to have a look at the exam reports. So let's go back to the exam, and here you get to see generate report. Before we have a look at the reports, let's generate the report once. So we're going to generate a report for class 11. So I'm going to generate it here. It is a scheduled job right now. It will take a few seconds. So let's refresh it till the scheduled job is completed. Let's move back to the report center. And for a normal examination, there are various report options available here. It begins with exam-wise report, subject-wise report, and few other options here. So let me take you to a few of it. So exam-wise report, you can select the batch, say class 11, and I'm going to select the exam group. So this is the exam that I've created. I'm going to view it, and here you get to see the scores, the total scores, and the maximum scores. So you can have a look at the score for the student. You can see the class average and the average secured by the student. You can have a graphical representation as well. This graph represents the score of the student with that of the class average. The comparison gets displayed in different colors, and you can take a PDF report of this report sheet. You can add remark if at all, if you want to add a remark. You can also have a look at the consolidated report here. So this is the consolidated report of the students in this particular batch. Since there's only one student, it gets displayed this way. Let me move back to show other reports in the report center. There's something called subject-wise report. I'm going to choose a batch, say class 11. So I'm choosing a subject, say maths. I want to view this report for the subject maths. So I'm viewing the report, and here you get to see the score that the student has secured in the subject maths, and you can see the overall class score. The same thing can be done for other subjects as well. You have something called grouped exam report. So if at all, if there is any grouping that you have done in your institution for this particular batch, you can have a look at the group scores. Let's move back to the report center. And we have few other reports like Archive Student Report, where you get to see the students who have left the institution. So those student report can be viewed right here. Student ranking reports and student ranking per subject and batch and per class can be seen. So the ranking of the student for a particular class can be viewed here. So all you have to do is select a class, view the ranking. So here you get to see the ranks for each of the student. So the other kinds of report that we have are student ranking for attendance, and we have the ranking level reports. So let's have a look at the view transcript reports. So you can go for view transcript report. You can just select a batch and you can view the transcript report. So that's how a report can be viewed under view transcript report. So that's all about examination module. The next module that we'll be seeing is the finance. So let's go back to the finance module in Fedena. We can find the finance module under administration. So in the finance module, let's begin with the first option that we have is the fees. So here is where you're going to create all the fees. So to create a fee structure in your institution, you should go for the option create fees. So under create fees, you have various categories. So these categories are going to be utilized to create a fee. To create a fee structure, you're going to create a category here. That's nothing but a master category. To create a master category, you need to go for this option, enter a name for the master category. Let me say I'm creating this category for class 11. I'm giving a description here and I'm selecting the class for which I'm creating this particular fee structure. Let me say this fee structure is meant for only one of the classes, so I'm just selecting this. If at all this fee structure is meant for more than one classes, then I can just select those classes and all the batches will have the same fee structure. You can just save it. Now the fee structure is created. There's nothing but the master category is created. Under the master category, we need to have various particulars. We can create these particulars by going for this option, enter the name of the particular and select a category under which this particular will fall. So I'm selecting the batch and I can provide a description if required. And here we are going to enter the amount. You can provide this particular to all the students in this batch, or it can be based on the set of admission numbers. So you can enter a few admission numbers separated by comma, or you can enter a student category, and this particular will be applicable only for the student categories or the student who belong to this category. So you can do that option as well. So once this is done, you can just create it. So one particular is created. Let me create one more particular here. So I'm giving a description. I'm giving an amount here. So now the particulars are created. Let's have a look at the fee structure that we have created for class 11. So here you can see the fee structure that I've created, and under the fee structure you can see various particulars and the amount for each particulars. You can add more particulars right here. For these fee structures and these particulars, you can add discounts by going for create discounts. You can add a discount by going for select discount type. You can select a batch. You can select any of these options. Say if at all you're giving a discount for a particular batch, you can select this option. Give a name for your discount. Give a fees category. So this discount might be applicable for any one of the fees categories, the one that we created. And your category or your discount might be applicable for the batches of this category, the particulars of this category. So you can choose of any one of these, and the list of particulars can be selected here. Below you can choose between the percentage and amount. So I'm choosing the discount to be applicable for batches of this category, and to the batch the amount is going to be in terms of percentage, or it can be in terms of amount. So if at all it's going to be in terms of percentage, it can be say 20%, or it can be in terms of amount where you can enter the amount here. So let me say 2000 rupees is the discount for the students who belong to this batch. That means all the students who belong to this batch, and this discount is going to be applicable for batches of this category. And if at all, if you want to make this discount applicable for particulars of this category, say admission fee or tuition fee, This discount can be applied for those particulars that I have created before. Now I'm going to make it applicable for batches of this category. I'm going to create it. So now the discount is created. Once the discount is created, you can create fines as well. So these are the 4 options that Fedena provides you under create fee option. So the 4th one that we have is generate fine. You can generate a fine option by creating a fine option here, giving a name here. So as I've already given days after due date, I'm entering an amount of rupees 50. So exactly after the first date of due, the students are asked to enter the amount 50. I have an option where I can make it as a percentage or it can be in terms of amount. 2 days after due date, the students are asked to pay an amount of 100, and again you can switch between the percentage and amount option. You can keep adding slabs by going for add slabs option, where you can keep adding various options this way. Once this is done, you can update it and the fine is created. So let's move back to the fees option. So right now we have created a master category, we have created these particulars under the category, we have created a discount, we have created a fine as well. Now once this is done, the next procedure would be to schedule the fee collection dates. So this can be done long before the fee collection date begins. So just before the fee collection date, you can schedule it by selecting a date here. You can schedule by going for create fee collection. You can select one among the fee collection that we have created. So right now I've created a fee collection. I'm selecting it, giving a name for it so that we can easily identify it. So class 11, I'm selecting the fine that I've created. I can select a start date as today or end date tomorrow and a due date as the next date. Once I've selected the start date, end date and due date, I can create the fee collection. So now the fee collection is on queue. It will take few minutes to move from the queue. So now as it disappears, let's move back to the schedule fee collection dates and have a look at the fee collection that we've created under the view option. So here you can choose the batch, say class 11. And here this is the fee collection that we have created, and you can see the start date, end date and due date as per how I've created. Now let's have a look at the fee collection by going for it. Here you get to see the particulars, the amount on the particulars, the discount that we created. This is how the fee collection will look like for a student or a parent or of any finance employee or any person who gets to view the fee collection. So let's move back to the fees option. Right now we're done with scheduling the fee collection. Let me say today is the fee collection date and I'm going to collect the fee. I can go for the option collect the fee option, where I get to collect the fee in terms of batches or in terms of each student, or the particular wise fee payment can also be done. Let me take you through one by one. The first thing that we have is fee submission by batches. By going for this option, you can select the batch, you can select the fee collection that is assigned for the batch. You can see the students in the drop down. Here you get to see the list of students who belong to that particular batch. Let me show you an example. So for class 2, I'm going to choose one of the fee collection, and here you get to see the list of students. To pay fee for each student, you can select the name of the student, you can pay the fee. You can enter the payment mode, you can enter the reference number, any payment date that you want to mark or any payment note that you want to add can be added, and you can pay the fee. Once the payment is done, you can have a look at the print summary by going for this option. So here you get to see the amount that the student has paid and the print summary gets displayed here. You can take a print of it. So this is how a fee payment can be done for each student in a particular batch. You can just change for another student and make the fee payment. Other option that Fedena provides you is fee submission for each student. You can come here, search for a particular student with the name or the roll number or an admission number. You can go for the student name. You can go for fee collection wise payment, select a particular collection and pay the amount. So here you get to pay the amount. So now you've paid the fee for the student. And the last option that Fedena provides you is particular wise fee payment. Under particular wise fee payment, you can make payment for a particular student. You need to search the student in terms of their admission number or student name. Let me search a student here, and I can choose one among the fee collection, and I can pay it in a particular wise manner. So let me go for a particular wise fee collection. So let me choose a student name here. And this is the fee collection that I've created. So for this collection, I'm going to make a particular wise payment. It can be a partial payment as well. So I want to pay an amount of rupees 2000 right here. One thing that you need to remember is that if I'm going to pay an amount of 2000 out of this 4000 and I can go for fee payment. Now Fedena is saying that you need to apply the discount that is not yet applied. So there's a discount of rupees 2000 that you need to apply. To apply this discount, you have to add discount here by going for add discount, enter the name of the discount here, enter the amount here, say 2000, and now you can see the discount is applied, the amount to be paid is there, and you can go for the pay fee option. Now the fees is paid successfully. You can take a receipt of it and you can have a look at the total amount to be paid and the total amount paid. So this is how a partial payment can be done when a discount is there. So let's move back to the fees option. Right now we have checked the option how to collect fees in Fedena. You can have a look at the fee structures. Under fee structure for a particular student, you can just search the student name, have a look at the fee collections and choose one of the fee collection and have the look at the amount that they need to pay. You can take a PDF report of the fee collection that they need to pay. The next thing that we have is the fee defaulters. So here you get to see the list of students who have not paid the fee. You can filter the amount of students by selecting a class, say class 1, a particular batch, and you can choose one among the fee collection and get to see the number of students who have not paid the fee. Right here you can go for pay fee option and take a print of it as well. Next option that Fedena provides you is the fees refund option. Under fees refund, you can make a refund by creating a refund rule. First we need to do is create a refund rule. Under the refund rule, we are going to choose a particular fee collection. Based on this fee collection, the refund rule is going to be applicable. So I'm choosing a refund and I'm giving a refund name here. Once I've given a refund, I'm going to give a refund validity and the type can be in percentage or amount. If at all I'm going as an amount, I can enter the amount here, the refund amount, and I'm going to create it. So the refund rule is created. Once the refund rule is created, you can apply the refund by coming for the apply refund. All you have to do is search for the student name, and once you search for the name, you need to choose one of the fee collection and you can go for a refund. So let me go for a refund by choosing the name. So here I've created refund for this amount and I'm going to revert the amount. So now as per the refund rule, the refund has happened for the student. So a refund can happen only if the student has paid the complete amount in the fee collection. You can have a look at the refunds that has happened by going for view refund. All you have to do is give a start time and an end time and have a look at the list of refunds that has happened. You can see the name of the student, the amount that is refunded and the fee collection name with the refunded by the person who has created the refund rule. As an admin, I have created the refund rule, so it's getting displayed here. You can take a PDF report of it as well. So the next thing that we have under fees is that student fees advice report. So under student fees advice report, we have something called batch-wise report. So here you can have a look at the students and their fee collection, the amount to pay and the amount they have paid. You can have a look at the particulars, you can have a look at the discounts as well. So this is the view for all the students in Fedena. If at all, if you want to filter the students by selecting a class, you can select one of the classes and search. So it displays only a restricted amount of students who belong to that class and can view their fee collections. The next thing that we have is a fee collection wise report. Under fee collection wise report, you can select a batch, say class 2, and you can select one of the fee collection, and here you get to see the students, the fee collection, and the amount to be paid and the amount that is paid. The third option that we provide you is the student-wise report. You can have a look at the report of a student by just searching the name of the student. I'm searching the name of the student, and here you get to see the amount that they need to pay on the total, and you can see the unpaid fee and the paid fee and the due dates for each fee collection. You can take a PDF report or a CSV report for each of these students to probably report them. So let's move back to the finance module. So here is where under fees, we had checked all these options. Right now we are done with fees. So let's move forward to the other options. The other option that is there in Fedena is completely regarding the fees transactions or the finance transactions in Fedena. For which, let me go for finance report and let's have a look at a finance report. I'm going for the report option. I'm going to give a start date and an end date, say today's date. I'm going to display the report. So here you get to see the particulars that is there in my finance report. Based on the expense and income that I've made, you can see the particulars here. The particulars include salary account, donations, fee account, books for students, and various other particulars that is available here. And you can see the expense that I've made and the income that I've received. You can see a grand total as well. Moving below, you can have a look at the finance transaction in a graphical representation. You can see the amount. You can see the representation right below as a graph. You can take a PDF report or a CSV report. To have a more look at it, you can just select one of the particulars. And here you get to see the particulars. The particulars are nothing but the departments for which the fee payment or the salary account has created and is credited. So you can see each department and you can select one of the departments to have a look at this name of the employees for whom the salary was credited. You can see the salary date and the total salary. For each department, you can select the particular and have a look at the employee name. You can see the total for each department and you can see the total for all the departments. Other than the salary account, we have something called donations. And in donations, we can see there's various donations that has happened and you can see the total sum with the receipt number and the dates. And we have the fees account. Inside the fees account, we get to see each fees that is scheduled and that is collected from each student. The amount that we have collected from each student gets displayed under each fees account. You can see the amount, you can see the each payment mode and the total fees. The same way, there are various expenses displayed below. Let's have a look at it, like from where do we get displayed with this particulars. So these are some particulars that is inbuilt in Fedena. There's few other particulars that we have added. So we can go back to the finance module. So let's see the categories option right here. So under categories, you can see there are various categories that is existing. So till transport, all these categories is something that is already available in Fedena. You can create your own finance category that you want to add in Fedena by going for add finance category. You can just give a name for the category, a description, and select if it's going to be an income for the institution or an expense for the institution. So I've created few categories here, say books for students, goods, lunch, pantry, uniform. So these are some kind of an income and expenses that my institution might have. So I have created these categories in my finance category. Apart from the one that is inbuilt, I have created few more based on my requirements. So once I've created this category, when there is any transaction, say when there is any expense or income, I'm going to add those expenses and income in my transaction. I'm coming from a transaction and I'm going for add expense. Let me say there's an expense in my institution for selling for buying uniforms for the students. So I'm going to make this expense, or I'm going to report this expense in my institution through Fedena. So I'm going to enter it right here. I'm going to enter the name here. I'm going to enter the amount that I've spent for uniforms. So for buying uniforms for class 1. So I'm entering the date here and I'm going to select the category in which this is going to fall. So I'm going to select one of these categories and I'm going to save it. Right now I've made an expense and you can have a look at the expenses that you've made by going for expense option. So all you have to do is select a particular date and you can have a look at the expense that you have made through this transactions right here. You can take a PDF report to have a report of all the expense that you have made. Moving back to transactions, you can add incomes the same way how you added expenses. I'm going for add income. I'm going to enter an amount here, a title here and an amount. Let me see I made an income by selling the uniforms that I bought. So I'm going to enter a income, say uniform, from class 1 and an amount here. I'm giving a date here as well the category. So once I've entered it, you can see the incomes that I've made by selecting a start date and an end date, and you can have a look at the income that I've got displayed right here because I've added in my incomes list in the transaction. You can take a PDF report of it as well. So in case if you want to revert any transaction, you can have a look at the reverted transactions by going for this option. The next thing that we have under finance is the donation. So in case if you want to add a donation that is happening in the institution, you can go for the option new and you can add a donation by entering the name of the donor. Enter name of the donor. If at all if you want to provide a description, you can provide a description and you can enter an amount here. So if you want to add any additional details, you can add it in the settings and that will get displayed here. So I have added an additional detail, say contact number, just like how I used to add additional details for student admissions and employee admission. I want the donor contact details. So I have entered the additional details in the settings and it gets displayed here. Now I entered the contact details and I'm going to add it. So you can take a receipt of the donation that the donor has made. You can see the receipt number as well. Moving back to donations, you can see the additional field option where I have created the contact number of the donor as an additional field. You can as well create the active fields or the additional fields as how you want. You can track the donation that has happened in a time duration by selecting the start date and an end date. And here you get to see the donation that has happened in your institution. You can take a CSV report of it right here. So these transactions are being tracked in your finance report. That's exactly why it shows them as a particulars. So now after the donations, what we have to see is the payslip of the employee. As you must be aware, we generated payslip in the human resource module. As I mentioned before, the human resource person is the person who's going to generate the payslip. And once the payslip is generated by a human person, it goes to the finance module, and the finance person needs to approve the payslip or reject the payslip. So once a human resource person generates a payslip, a finance person gets to see the same payslip getting displayed in the finance module. So in the finance module, by going for the payslip option under the finance, we can view the payslip right here. By selecting the department, selecting a month, you can view the payslip. So these are the payslip that is created. I can see the status say pending. I can view the payslip, have a look at the payslip. If at all there is any change that I want to make, I can reject it by going for reject option, and I can enter a reason. Say the loss of pay is an incorrect option, incorrect data that they have entered. So I'm entering as LOP as an incorrect, so I'm going to submit it. So now one of the payslip is being rejected by the finance person. You can see the reason, you can see the status rejected. Let me go back to view payslip, and for the month of August, for the other employees, let me see there's a payslip rejected, and let me see the other payslip. Let me say I want to view the payslip and I find all the data correct. So I'm going to approve it. I can approve it right here, going for approve option, and I'm giving a remark here by entering, and I'm going to submit it. Now you can see the status approved, and you can take a PDF report of it. One more option that Fedena provides you is a one-click payslip approval. You can approve a payslip by going for this option, by just selecting this option, and the payslip gets approved right there. All the payslip that is being generated will be approved. So as we already discussed, in the finance report, we've checked the reports. Now let's have a look at the compare transactions. So under compare transactions, we can compare the transaction that has happened in Fedena by selecting a start date and an end date for one duration, and once again selecting the start time and the end time for another duration. I'm getting a report for this time duration, and you can see for two different durations, you can see the particulars, you can see the amount for each particulars, and a graph that represents the difference in the finance transaction in each of these time duration. You can see that in different colors it gets represented, and you can see for each category how it's represented and what is the difference and which duration gives an higher income as well as an higher expense. So you can have a look at it right here. Moving back to the finance report, the final one that we have is the fee receipt. So you can have a look at the receipt of any of the students by searching for the receipt number right here. You can search for a receipt number and type receipt number and search the receipt number to view the receipt. Or you can go for advanced search. You can enter the values for any of these by entering the reference number, collection name, or a time duration, or a cashier's name, and you can search for a receipt number to get a list of receipt numbers that is required. And the final option that we have is the assets and liability management. And there are two options here, the assets and the liability. In under assets, you can create your own assets by entering the title and the description as well as amount. Let me just enter a sample here. I'm just entering the name of an asset. I can provide a description if required, and I can enter amount here as well, and I can save it. So I can view the assets that I've created by going for view asset by getting it listed here. You can have a PDF report of it right here. You can see these are the assets that I have already created. The same way I can create my liabilities by going for this liability option where I can create a liability. These are nothing but the assets and liabilities that you want to have a track of it in your institution. So these are not going to add to your finance transactions, but these are like a data that you want to keep track of. So you can just add your liability here by providing a name for it. Provide a description if required and enter amount here and save it. So you can have a look at these liabilities by going for view liability and it gets displayed here. You can take a PDF report of them. Right now we're done with the finance module in Fedena. The next module that we have is calendar and event creation. Let's move to the calendar. So you can find your calendar under academics. So here you can create events by going for add option under a particular date. So you can just go for the add option and you can just select a start date and end date for the event. Let me create an event right now. I'm selecting a start date. I'm giving a start time for the event. I'm selecting another date and I'm giving an end time for it. You can provide a title here. You can provide a description so that users get to know the detail about the event. If at all of this event is going to be on holiday, you can just enable this option as an holiday. So now all the users, once we create an event, will be notified that this event is on holiday. If at all it's not on holiday, you can just disable this option. And if this event is going to be for all the users in Fedena, you can just select this option. So now all the users in Fedena will be notified about the event. Whereas if this is meant for a specific set of users, you can just create an event and select the users by selecting the batches and selecting the department here. I'm going to select the batches so that the students who belong to this batch will be a part of the event. So I can select the event participants by selecting the batch here. I'm selecting the batches here. I'm going to save it. The same way I'm selecting the department so that the employees who belong to the department will be a part of the event. Once I've selected the participants, I can confirm the event. And you can see on the date I selected, say September 17th, you can see the annual meet on the right hand side when I hover my mouse over the event. You can see the black color represents event, the blue color is represent for examination, and the green represents holiday, and the red color represents due. So in my calendar, you can have a look at the examinations that is scheduled for each date, and you can see the events that is being created. You can see the dues for each students or any particular fee collection. You can switch between other months and have a look at the event that has happened in the previous month or the event that is going to happen in the upcoming months. The same event can be created under event creation. So here on event creation, I can perform the same actions to create an event. And it once again gets displayed in my calendar. Once when an event is created, an internal messages will be sent to the participants. So here you get to see the event notification. So this is an internal message that is sent when an event is created. The subject and the description of the event is displayed here. The user can reply back to the person who has created the event by going for the option reply. So that's all about calendar and events. We are done with the core module that we have planned to do for today's session.